So for class today, we are asked to create a video journal based on social networking. We are asked to discuss how it can basically affect our future, both positively and negatively, and to provide an example of how either myself or someone that I know has made a social networking decision that has had a negative impact on either their life or my life. Basically, social networking has some positives. It allows us to communicate in ways like never before. You could post on someone's page, you could chat them, you could tweet at them. They get the notification right away, which makes communication quicker and easier. You can also chat with anyone from any location, so you don't have to worry about long-distance phone calls or any of those charges. And aside from just posting or chatting, you can do video calls or video posts. So this way it's kind of basically like you could see the person, makes it a little more personal. It's greatly changed the future of communication, definitely. It's made it easier, quicker, and more efficient for us to just talk to each other. We can see what our friends are up to, and it's definitely made it easier to keep in touch with someone who lives further away. Like, for me, it's the easiest way to keep in touch with my aunt who lives in Pittsburgh rather than making phone calls all the time. The negatives are that people take things on social networking way too seriously sometimes. Like, for example, someone might post something as a joke, or we all have had that friend who's hacked our Facebook and posted some really obscene status, but then someone won't see it that way. And depending on the context, they might either contact the authorities if it has something to do with, like, a drug-related joke, or it seems like it's bullying somebody. Or if it's a parent, they could reprimand you for saying something. Or it could also cause a person to be criticized basically for a poor decision, even though it might just be a joke. Also, jobs and colleges both will look at certain social networking media for a potential employee or student. And anything you could post on there can make or break their decision of taking you in. For example, my boyfriend had a job interview recently that was done over Skype. And the interviewer had the camera angled in a way that didn't block out the computer he was using during the interview. And on the computer screen, my boyfriend saw his Facebook was pulled up, and the guy was scrolling through his Facebook as he was interviewing him. Luckily, my boyfriend doesn't post anything bad on there, and he watches what he says for that purpose and doesn't allow anyone to get into his stuff and post anything as a joke. I don't have any examples for myself about how anything social networking has affected me negatively, but I have examples how it's affected other people on terms of me. For example, there was this one time about a year or two ago where there was this girl who really just didn't like me for stupid reasons, and she decided to post a status after running into me at Seaside, basically like telling everyone that if she saw me again she was going to kill me. And of course she didn't blatantly mean, like, I'm gonna go up to her and stab her. But one of my sister's friends had happened to see it, and her mom is really good friends with my mom and my family. So when this girl told her mother got concerned and thought it was an actual death threat. So she contacted my parents. So my parents were aware of it, and before I even was aware of the situation, my dad had called the cops, because my dad himself is a cop and knows how death threats work and things like that, and said that by law that is considered a death threat. So my dad had called the cops and basically reported it to the South Brunswick police where we live, and they contacted the police in Seaside and told them to keep a watch out for her, to make sure she wasn't doing any suspicious activity, and to keep a watch on me to make sure that I was safe and still alive. And it told me that if I had run into her and felt unsafe, I could just go to any police officer on the boardwalk and they were aware of it. So basically every single officer patrolling the boardwalk that night was aware of the situation. And basically my mother was not happy. She contacted the girl's mom and talked to her about it. And the girl's mother was very upset because she did not know that her daughter had said that, nor did she know that her daughter was really being immature over something so stupid. So her mother was very upset with her, made her delete all of her Facebook. She was grounded for a while, didn't have a phone. And luckily my parents decided to not press charges, which the girl's parents were thankful for. My parents just told them, don't be thanking us, because if it happens again, we will definitely press charges. We let it go this time since her parents are already doing a good job taking care of her. But basically, it just shows how it negatively affected her life, since it caused her parents to reprimand her, take everything away from her. And of course, like, the police were after her. So basically it was a manner of the law at that point. It wasn't just something stupid. And it could have affected her if we had pressed charges, or if a police officer had decided to arrest her for saying something like that, since it is technically a death threat by law. Basically, a lot of people just will post things without thinking about what they're actually saying and how someone else might take it. So basically, as we already made clear, social networking has both positive and negative effects. A little more negatives than positives at this point.